What a wonderful opportunity and a little bit of a hypocritical opportunity for me, I believe, as well, to introduce this wonderful next guest, personal chef Monica Mannion. And I say hypocritical because as we're talking about Cinco de Mayo and the celebration of Cinco de Mayo, which is really an American holiday, exploited. I mean, it has Mexican and Hispanic roots, but it's been exploited by American marketing to create a buzz. We're interviewing an honor to interview such an incredible chef who legacy and drive is to teach what true Mexican food from all the different regions is, not just Tex-Mex or California Mexican or whatever these language that we use today. Monica, welcome to Food Farms and Chefs. Such an honor to speak with you.
Hello, it's an honor for me to be here, especially talking about Mexican food, which, it's my food from my country. So thank you for having me over.
Your legacy or your mission really is to teach that. You want people to learn what true Mexican food is from all the different regions, and it is a complex cuisine. You know, did you grow up naturally, just exploring food and trying food from different regions? Tell us a little bit about your early days in cooking.
Yes. So I come from a family that loved to cook. My mom was a great cook. My grandmother was a good cook. So I grew up eating amazing food, Mexican traditional food. And I just remember that, being in the kitchen with them when they were gossiping and the men were outside. And so we were always in the kitchen. I was not into cooking when I was, a teenager, but my mom made sure that I learned the basics of what she was doing. And my mom had a cancer for a long time, and I think before she knew that she was probably going to die, so she wanted to pass on me and my sister all the recipes that she used to make. And I think that after I married, I discovered that I wanted to be closer to my mom, and the recipes were exactly what I needed to feel, close to her. So that was my encounter with Mexican cuisine, let's say it like that. So closer to I was just wanted to be close to my mom.
Well, you have a very interesting background too, and one part of it is just so unique. So you were born in Mexico City, but when you decided to get some education in culinary, you went to the Cambridge Cookery School in the UK.
Yeah.
Uh, what took you there? Why of all places the Cambridge Cookery School in the UK?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I met an American, Irish American from here, from Philly, and he was working already in Mexico. So we met through work, through a company. And he was being sent to Mexico, but he was starting to have an expat life. So we married and we moved first to Argentina, which I was 23 years old, really young. But that's when I started really to miss every ingredient that we have in Mexico. Everybody thinks that from Mexico to the south, we all eat the same, and it's a completely different story. So in Argentina, they don't even know what a jalapeno or a serrano pepper. They don't eat it spicy. So I just wanted to feel close to Mexico, and I couldn't find the ingredients. So that's when I became very, very like a passionate about what can I do? How can I recreate Mexican food in another country? So we moved to Argentina. Then we came here to Philly as expats. I had two kids here. Then we moved to South Africa. I live in South Africa, and I met a chef. And I was cooking with her a lot. We had a group of expats cooking, 12 women from different countries cooking. And then she told me, you have something in you. You have to go to culinary school. You are amazing. You can do so many things now. You should go. So then we moved to England. And we moved to England, and my kids were already a little bit, independent. So they were at school pretty much all day. And that's when I said, I need to join the culinary school. And I used to live between London and Cambridge in a small town. So Cambridge was the closest to me instead of going to London. So I found this little school, and it was the best thing of my life because I didn't go for Mexican culinary school, but then I was able to have classes with so many chefs around the world. So that was the best school for me.
And you learn the great techniques that are universal in every food. Knife skills and cooking techniques and true techniques are universal. And as you talk about ingredients and finding great ingredients, and I think you probably know where I'm going with this, in another country, your kind of next journey took you to someplace very unexpected for great Mexican cuisine, and that would be Shanghai.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that experience and what cooking for a Mexican diplomat in Shanghai was like.
Yeah, so after England, after I finished culinary school, actually we were sent to China, Shanghai, which was a big surprise for me. I was a little bit scared because it was the only country that I couldn't understand the language, and it was just wow, like it was so different from any other country. But surprisingly, they do eat spicy, and I could find a lot of like the dry chilies we use in Mexico. So it was like, and of course, we know now with the internet and everything, I was able to order some food so I could recreate Mexican dishes. And then I met the Mexican consul's wife, and she really liked my classes. I was teaching at that time in China. I had a very successful career in China. I was on TV, on an expat show. I was writing for magazines, and I was teaching. And then she heard about me, and she invited me to cook for their private events. And so I was in heaven. I actually love to be able to show other people about Mexican contemporary food. So that's how everything started for me, creating what I wanted to show other people, that we don't only have the Mexican traditional, but we also have a contemporary contemporary style going on.
You became, and you talked a little bit about your writing and your classes and all. You also, early on, kind of got involved in a little bit of the TikTok sensation and social media sensation. And that really, of all chefs I know, took you in particular, TikTok, to that whole next level. Uh, as someone who doesn't even understand the platform, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I came here to Philly, I wanted to find a job. So I looked for culinary schools, and I found one in Center City. And then when I started cooking in there and teaching, which I was in heaven, COVID came. And so everything went down, restaurant, culinary schools, and everything. So I lost my job. The little school closed. And so I kind of needed to invent myself again. So I did have an Instagram, which was small because I wanted to keep it bilingual. And it is very difficult to keep a bilingual Instagram. So I didn't have a lot of followers, to be honest, but I wanted to keep it that way because I work here. So I wanted to kind of give the best in both languages. And then my daughter, which she was already kind of a small influencer, not small, actually a big influencer, she pushed me to do TikTok. And I was like, no, I don't want to do TikTok. They dance and they scream and they sing, and it's just for young people. I don't want to be there. And she told me, let's do one video, mom, just one video and see what happens. And we did. And in a week, I think it had like 100,000 views. And then we did another one, and then it got more views and more views. And my first video on TikTok has over 40 million views, and we have 2.7 million now followers, which I never ever expected. But it was a big surprise. But now I am very into social media, and all the monetizing you can do, and it's just actually really good. Oh, I'm sorry, I have an alarm going on. There you go. Sorry. Oh, there you go.
Well, one of the things that really strikes me with you, and doing a little bit of research, is that while you love to teach the classics and also the contemporary style of Mexican cuisine, you adapt it so well to, what other people, of the same generation struggle with is that whole new social media, and you just embraced it and ran with it and did so well with it. Um, and now a lot of your classes continue to be online. You do a lot of cooking classes online. It appears to me too that one of the things that you have a passion for, just looking at some of your classes, is to teach, the heart and soul of a kitchen is the baking and breads and muffins and things like that. Is that something you always loved, or is that kind of a new dimension for you?
Well, to be honest, one thing was like once I was started being very big on TikTok, you realize your followers are all over the world. So that opened the door for me to have these online classes because a lot of my followers wanted to take classes with me, but they don't live here in the States. So that opened the door for me to actually reach people everywhere. And I am in heaven. I love to be able to have people. I know they're not here in person, but I open the cameras and the microphones, and they get to know me more. And one of the things that I always was passionate about was baking. Mexico has a very big variety of sweet breads. It's a very important part of our food, the sweet bread. And so I had an amazing teacher in culinary school from Italy. And she just got me into what can your hands do, and whatever your hands touch, that they can become magic, and like magical hands, and then you can just prepare beautiful food and bread. So I think that the magic of doing your homemade bread, it just gives you everything, gives you also kind of it's like a meditation for me to do bread. So I think that teaching that to people, I encourage people to just to do home thing, a homemade thing. So that's where that's my intention, to inspire people to do that.
Well, I would so agree. As a person who loves to make bread and make things like that, I understand that. And right now I am overwhelmed as a culinary instructor. It's something I've done my entire life. When I watch you talk about food, you just light up. It's a really wonderful thing to see.
Thank
And I hope our listeners on YouTube and all really just see this, and this is what food can do for a person. I could go on and on and on, but some of your recent things, like you recently did an amaranth flour muffin online, and I was so taken, like, oh, I want to learn how to do that. That's great. We share a common friend in Audrey Claire, and I was doing a little research, and I found a menu that you did there, a menu based on passion and love. And I want to highlight a couple of the dishes you did. And I'm not going to attempt to do them in Spanish, but, a chicken in a rose petal sauce.
Oh yeah.
That's a unique ingredient. I mean, people know, rose water, which is probably rare to some people, but what a great dish. What region? Where did that come from?
Well, that is a very I don't know if you watch the movie like chocolate like water, like chocolate
Yes,
like
yes.
water. So that is the main recipe. And
Yeah.
my followers, because in TikTok you don't see my face, you just listen to my voice. And when I actually opened TikTok, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to take the attention of the recipe showing my face or music. I wanted the recipe to be the center, the main character. So I put voice into my recipe. So everybody says that I have the same voice of the actress that is in that movie. So the main comment everybody puts in there is like, "Oh my God, your voice is exactly like her." So for Valentine's, I just was inspired to do her recipe. So that is the recipe of the movie, and people loved it. And actually, it's a delicious, delicious recipe. So remember, like every recipe you see on my TikTok is on my Instagram in English. So you will see both recipes. It's in English and Spanish on my Instagram. So if you really like one of the recipes on TikTok, go to my Instagram and you will find the recipe there.
Well, one of the dishes from that menu that caught me was, again, going back to your baking, was an orange and lemon cake with nata. And if people don't know what nata is, it is it's a sauce or a you know what you get when you boil raw milk, but it takes on its own flavor a little bit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, in Mexico it's very, very common to have nata, which is like clotted cream. You know, like in England they call it clotted cream, which is very thick and beautiful. So you need raw milk and then boil it for a long time. And then when you turn it off and let it to rest to come to room temperature, you get this thick cream on top. So you just take it off, and that is like sweet butter. It's absolutely delicious. So it is expensive, but it's very common in Mexico. And it's like clotted cream. It gives you this softness in a bread, and it's just moist, and it's gorgeous. That recipe is really nice.
And then the soup you did for that particular dinner. So I understand people have the genetic sensitivity to cilantro, but I'm
I
blessed I don't have that. I love cilantro. It's one of my favorite things. You did a cream of cilantro soup. And like people who make a garlic soup, at first it's like, ooh, that's going to be too much. But I sense it had to be so rich and so delicious.
It is
Um,
actually cilantro. Once you find a taste for it, people don't like. Some people don't like it. They think it tastes like soap. Some people say that. I've never had that problem, thank God. But you can always use, parsley if you don't really like the cilantro. But it's a very soft flavor. It's not that intense as you will think.
so, as we're out of time, please tell our listeners where they can find out more information about your classes, your TikTok, and where we can get more about you in general.
Okay, so on Instagram, you can find me as Chef Monica Mannion, Mannion with double N. What my website is the same, www.chefmonicamannion.com. On TikTok, the same name, Chef Monica Mannion, and then you will find everything. All my recipes are bilingual on Instagram, and I actually put on Instagram a little bit more of my life, what I do, or I do show what I have for breakfast, or a little bit of what I do personally. So if you want to get to know me, just follow my Instagram.
Thank you so much, Monica. It has been
Thank
a
you for
great
having me.
pleasure. I hope our paths cross one day and I actually get to try some of your food. Thank you for joining us on Food Farms and Chefs.
I would love to. Thank you so much, guys, for having me, and have a wonderful week.
You too.
Bye.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Food Farms and Chefs. I have the wonderful and esteemed pleasure of introducing Chef Carlos Raba, who is
Thank you.
the co-founder and co-owner of Clavel. Now I'm going to mispronounce it. Clavel Mezcaleria, which is in Maryland. So welcome to Food Farms and Chefs.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me. Yes, we are in Baltimore, Maryland.
So how did you, because both you and your wife are integrated into creating the
Not my
off.
wife. Yeah.
Oh, not your wife.
Yeah, no, my business partner. Yes.
Yes. But I believe that she has some sort of hand in the cocktails, if I
Oh
recall.
yeah. Yeah, the create. Yep. The whole bar program. I mean, she comes from the background of bar, so she has a couple of bars right across from Clavel, which WC Harlan, which is very popular. Also, Fat and Sonnen, which is another one, and I think the wine shop uh,
Yeah.
as well too. So yeah, so she carried that side of the restaurant, and I'm more into the kitchen side, and on the running the restaurant.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of digging and history on you. So first off, I want to congratulate both of you on being nominated for James Beard Awards. Um,
Thank you.
just being nominated is an award in itself. But
Yeah.
but pulling away from that excitement, how did you get started in this business?
Well, thank you again. But I started as I guess a passion for cooking. I come from a family that it was very Mexican, so we used to get together and do huge family meals. I grew up with five sisters, and they all work. I have uncles that work, and we work in we live together on a compound. And I always saw cookings, getting together, my uncles on a restaurant. So I grew up on that environment. After I immigrated to the United States when I was 16 back in 2000, I worked for Whole Foods many years, 7 years, and I worked for Stop and Shop, Apple USA many years. I did fish, meats, cheese with Whole Foods, and I always had the joy of food and working with food. And when stuff started to change in the restaurant industry, not in the restaurant industry, but more into the grocery store industry, that I wasn't enjoying it. My wife was pregnant, and Lane Harlan came up to me. She was like, "Hey, we should open a restaurant. Your background is in food. I have eaten the food of your family. I love it. What do you say?" So I was like, "Okay." So I took my wife and my 4-month-old baby, and I moved to the top of Clavel in 2016. So that's how it started, the whole saga of Clavel and being the executive chef here.
Now, obviously, we're in the realm of Cinco de Mayo, which is a celebration of freedom in Mexico. But like, as
Well,
we move forward into that, like, I want to celebrate like just food in general.
of course.
And your food in particular, I read the way that you prepare your foods is traditional Sinaloan. Um
Oh, yeah, and it's like I say, the cuisine that we cook. Yes, I do have ceviches, and my taste come from Sinaloa, from Culiacan, Sinaloa. That's my background from. That's where I learned how to taste. That's where I learned my senses to taste ceviches and to cook them and make them. Well, not cooking them, but making them. And the meats that we make in Clavel is just a collage of the South, the north of Mexico, because you have from cochinita pibil to barbacoas to lengua en salsa verde. I have fish tacos that are really baja from the coast of the Pacific coast of Mexico. So it's a little collage of everything because uh, Mexican culture and is very diverse on its flavors from the south to the north. So it's a lot of change into flavors there.
And I saw like your menu, you have a lot of freshness, like because it does throw back to your roots, which you're on the coast. It has a lot of fish, a lot of shrimp, like you said. And you do have, of course, the meats where you have the barbacoa, and whatnot, that with the flavorfulness of spice, because I feel like cuisines that are from Latin based cuisines usually have a lot of
Yeah.
flavor.
And
And there's
and to the point, yeah, and to the point that we were just touching, like when you talk about Cinco de Mayo, uh, uh, the revolution of Mexico was on 16 de septiembre. Okay, so Cinco de Mayo and the revolution doesn't have nothing to do with it. We won our freedom on the 16 de septiembre. Cinco de Mayo is based on a batalla, with a battle of the La Batalla de Puebla, which happened because Mexico was on debt with many foreign countries due to past wars in Mexico. The main ones was Spain, Britain, and France. And Benito Juarez, he was the first president elected. I'm not a historian, okay? I'm a taco maker, but this is how I learned. So, so he stopped paying the debt. He was like, you know what? This is now we're not under the power of France, we're not under the power of Spain, and I want to stop paying foreign countries, and because we are independent now, Spain, Britain, and France sent troops because they stopped payments. So that's when it came. Spain said no. They talked, and Spain went away. Was the name? The British went away, but French stayed, and that's when they invaded Puebla, and that's when the Batalla de Puebla happened, which was Cinco de Mayo from 1862, I believe. So that's how the Batalla de Puebla started.
I mean, I have to say that I'm an ignorant white person that that just
No, but it's not. I mean, it's just education. It's not because you don't know some things. The lack of knowledge is not ignorance. You know what I'm saying? So that's
well,
why
no,
we
no,
have enough.
that's actually the definition of ignorance is like the lack
Uh,
of knowledge. So that's why
yeah,
I was correctly used. But thank you, because I'm sure that our listeners probably, there's some of our listeners out there that needed to have that history as well. But let's circle back to celebrating your restaurants, because I believe you also have another one that is either open or slated to open soon.
So yeah, I have a project called Nana, which also is probably uh, a memory of my cooking and my uprising with little taquerias. I'm very passionate because most of the time I base my cooking on something that I remember or something that made me happy, so I can translate into the plate and I can translate into the person that is eating it. Because my biggest joy is seeing people eating the food that we prepare in Clavel, because the effort the kitchen puts into it, the servers and anybody that works around it put the effort to serve it and have a smile on your face that you're eating the taco. So the same thing happened with Nana. Nana is something that when I was very young, my mom was a writer, and she used to work late nights. And my grandmother used to take me to taquerias, like a little taqueria, small cedar outside, waiting for my mom to get off the newspaper. It was very late, so she used to take me to 10 seaters with a taquero, carne asada, simple stuff. So that's the next project that I'm working. That is based in norteño, food from the norte as well.
Now do you have, because I know that that Nana got pushed back for the opening. Now, do you have a date that
Yes,
is set for that?
we look into July, August, it will be open. So I mean, we got to take on consideration that we took a building that is from the 1920s. So it's gonna have their delays. So it's a beauty into bringing a space that it was abandoned, and also that it was abused, to bring it back to the beauty of where it was back in the day. So I have worked very hard to do that. So yeah, that's an important part of it too.
Yeah. And I'm excited for you for that. But what I'm also excited to talk about is some of the menu items outside of what you're going to offer there, some of the menu items that you currently offer at your restaurant at Clavel.
So in Clavel, we focus a lot on the slow cook and the braising of meats. Okay, we butcher our lamb. We have a lamb that we marinate with coffee and negra modelo, and then we cook it with Mexican spices the next day on a huge pot that it takes probably 100 quarts, and it sits there for about 6 hours. And also we have a cochinita pibil. Cochinita pibil is very dear to my family because my grandfather was from Yucatan, and he had a non-sister that taught my grandmother how to cook cochinita. And then my grandmother taught all my aunts, okay, and they all made it. So we make cochinita. We have barbacoas. We have a recipe that goes back to one of my aunts as well too. Tortillas de harina, nixtamal. We have a huge nixtamal process in Clavel. We team up with a region of sorry. We team up with a team in Oaxaca that is bringing local corn to us. That is just a 1 and 2 transaction that we know where the money is going from. And we get it every 2 to 3 weeks, and we do about 200 kilos of masa a week. So it's
Wow.
a lot of nixtamal. Yeah, we do around 6,000 to 7,000 tortillas a week right now. So it's a huge process, and not only is challenged to do the amounts of food, but to keep the quality and the consistency together. Also, the people happy. The more food you make doesn't mean the more money you make, but it does mean the higher, the more team you have around you, and the more control you have to keep the quality going on, and your commitment to what you want to do. Because as you get bigger, it's harder to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that you're going to continue to grow because I just looking at your food is fantastic. But if you are somebody who is 21 and older and choose to imbibe, in drinking, you also have a cocktail menu that is just exquisite. Like I was looking through, what your ingredients are. And like, I'm glad to know that you have tequila tasting, mezcal
Mezcalte.
tasting flights. I corrected myself. Because that's something that you guys specialize in. Obviously, you bringing different mezcals with different like availabilities on how they actually ferment and whatnot. So I found that very interesting as well. But I mean,
Yeah, I
I
mean, and that goes with the same message of the commitment. I mean, the commitment with Dre and the bar director to mezcal and his passion for it. It has shown over the years, not only with the cocktail that they put in the team, the involvement of Lane and the, I would say, organic team that they have on the bar. They all get together to do beautiful menus like twice a year. So it has to do a lot with that, the passion that they have for the mezcal, the curiosity to know about culture too. That they want to take trips with us to Mexico. It's not easy to make a decision to go. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Mexico with you guys and for 3 4 days. But they take that and they're willing to learn to come here and educate people about mezcal, about Mexican culture, and bring a little bit of the enjoyment, which is the whole purpose of the restaurant, to bring a little bit of your culture to a city that did not have it. So that's what Clavel has done for the past 7 years.
which is wonderful. And also, I mean, because that kind of rolls into something else that you do, which is you give back to the community in a variety of ways, including I do know that you also own the Guardian Baltimore, which is
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu. I'm
jiu-jitsu.
thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, Guardian. So we have right next to Clavel. I got myself involved into opening a gym with one of my good friends, Ben Kovacs, which is Guardian Baltimore, that provides a safe environment and free jiu-jitsu kids from 6 to 17. We provide to them geese, which is the uniform, and 5 6 days a week classes right now for all kids. So it's a need on our city of extra curriculum activities for kids because our schools and public schools don't have that. So as a community member, I feel the responsibility to build a stronger community because I have my business here. So I get try to get involved. Clavel too. We feed them burritos when they do good. So it's just the whole sense of being a part of the community and the environment to create a good environment for the people around. We have yoga classes that some of my team members here in Clavel go and they can go before a shift and relax and then come and do a hard 9 10 hour shift to Clavel. So that's whole building a good environment not only for myself but for the people that surround the restaurant and the organization.
Now I'm gonna throw back to the restaurant itself, because you've also raised different funds and whatnot through giving back to hospital heroes and to I believe it was
Yeah.
Shriners Hospital, and you've given back to so many different community organizations through monies that you raised via like your restaurant, like
Yeah.
including, I believe you
That's
had
that's
have a
something that yeah, Lane keeps a huge list of of places that she wants to. She has a goal of stuff that she wants to do and donate. I do Guardian, but the whole nonprofit and helping from Clavel is Lane having a schedule of organizations that she wants to hit and organizations that are meaningful to her and meaningful to the people working on the restaurant too. So we have a passion of helping that too. So we do a lot. Probably we do multiple ones a year, and it goes through a really careful review by Lane. And then if we want to do it, yes. And they've been beautiful. We've been doing happy hours for many times for those. They do one for the Montessori school, which my kid goes. We do it once a year. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty cool. It's being able to do that for the city.
it is, and it's special, very special for you to do that and to be involved in your community in a variety of ways. But let's circle back to celebrating Cinco de Mayo and celebrating, just your restaurant in general, because
So,
obviously that's, why you want to join us on Food Farms and Chefs. So do you have any kind of specials that you are offering this week?
So we have something very special happening on Wednesday. So we have our first pop-up with Dave Thomas and Tanya Thomas, and we want to celebrate Afro-Mexican cuisine, the high influence of Afros in Mexico. So that's going to be huge. We're going to have that on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Chef Dave braised a beautiful whole lamb that we had, and he braised it with African spices. Also, we're going to have specials on drinks. So Wednesday is very special, which is the third, but then it's going to lead to your weekend, which is on Friday. Friday, we're going to be open regular hours, and we're going to be providing the same and beautiful food and same service to everybody that comes. We don't take reservations, so make sure to come in early because we are very happy to no, we're not celebrating the Cinco de Mayo because we don't take it as a huge celebration in Clavel, but we do embrace people coming and celebrating our culture and celebrating the space.
All right. And where can, we rounded up like just perfectly. So where can people find you online and in person?
So on Instagram is yo_soy_ Vivito. That was my nickname when I was little, Broncoeto. So sorry. They can come to Clavel, I mean, it's 225 West 23rd. They can go to our Instagram, which is bar_Clavel. They can find Guardian as well at guardianbaltimore.org. It's a 501c3. All donations are welcome because with donations we train the kids. And be looking forward to for the announcements on Nana. They should be following the next months. So very excited for that.
I'm excited for you. So thank you for joining us on Food Farms.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, and enjoy your weekend, and celebrate Cinco.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.